Hello and welcome to a new season, a new evolution of podcast episodes where for you guys who've been following this podcast for a while, you'll be very used to me and Maria dragging you through the textbook, and we are going to keep doing that. However, we wanted to be able to give you guys more super valuable content. So what you're going to see is the occasional extra episode that talks about the other stuff. So we have episodes coming up from industry experts who are now previous students who've passed CeMAP. They're now working as mortgage advisors. We've got interviews booked in with networks. We have loads of good stuff coming up. In this particular episode, which is going to be kind of the first episode of season 4, I guess, I wanted to talk to you guys not just about the changes that are coming into force, which I'm sure you've already heard about, but how to get ahead of those changes. So this episode is going to focus on, okay, you want to get CeMAP qualified, you want to do it before everything changes. This is going to be for you. And for the first time ever, I'm going to have to cue my own intro music. Okay, welcome back. And before I jump into the nitty-gritty of this, I just wanted to cover what these changes actually are, just for anybody who's not listened to that podcast special. So what we know so far is that Walbrook Institute, previously known as the London Institute of Banking and Finance, have announced that they are completely overhauling their CeMAP qualification. The biggest change that they've announced is that they are taking the entirety of CeMAP 1 and they are putting it in the bin. They're actually replacing that qualification or that exam as a whole with something called FSRE or FSRE. It stands for the Financial Services Regulation and Ethics. And actually this exam already exists. So a lot of people don't realise that you can sit this exam already. It's just that it falls under your diploma in financial advice as opposed to CeMAP. So they're going to drag that content over. It will now be a level 4 qualification instead of a level 3 qualification, which suggests it's probably going to be a little bit more difficult. The exam layout is also going to be slightly different. So CeMAP 1 is going to be no more. They've announced they're also changing CeMAP 2 and 3 a little bit. So they're going to restructure CeMAP 2 slightly, and they're going to make a few changes to CeMAP 3, but they are not the big kind of game changers. For anybody that is studying for CeMAP 2 and 3, we don't anticipate there being huge changes with those. So everything that you're studying with at the minute is probably still going to be good to go. And when does all this come into force? We've got a couple of key dates to play around with here. The first one is the 29th of September 2025. You need to have registered for your exams if you want to sit the current material as they are before the 29th of September 2025. This does not mean that you have to book the exam. It just means you have to pay for it on the Walbrook Institute or LIBF's website. When you pay for it, you have 12 months at that point to then book your exam and sit it. So as long as you've paid before that 29th of September deadline, you will sit the current material that is in everything that you see now, from the textbooks through to any e-learning platforms or fast track courses that you see. That is that stuff. If you pay before the 29th of September deadline, you have until the 12th of January 2026 to sit those exams. That is 6 months from now. That is a huge amount of time. And in this podcast episode, I'm going to walk you through how you can get through that material in the next 12 weeks. So I'm going to give you a guide as to, if you are listening to this in July, you can get through your exams before the end of October and still have a 3-month buffer before any changes come into place. The other key date is the 10th of November 2025. So if it is that you don't register for your exams before that 29th of September deadline, the exam syllabus changes for you after the 10th of November. That means that you will automatically sit the new stuff. If you register for an exam after that 29th of September deadline, you will be sent the new stuff either in the post or as a download through their... Well, I'm not sure whether they're going to be giving out physical textbooks anymore, because I believe for FSRE at the minute they don't. Well, I know they don't because I'm studying for it at the minute and I had to get my own printed. So that's what's going to happen. And I want to talk to you about why this matters. First of all, the content is getting harder. So especially with what was CeMAP 1, FSRE is moving to a higher level qualification, which suggests that the material is going to be tougher to get through. We're also going to have to battle case study questions in the new CeMAP 1 exam, We haven't had that previously. We only had that with CeMAP 3. There are going to be 15 case study related questions in the new FSRE exam, so it's going to look a little bit different. And the biggest, not necessarily red flag, but the biggest thing to be aware of is that every single provider that helps you get CeMAP qualified, including me, has to build new material off the back of this. So everything that I use at the minute is tried and tested over the last 2 years. Every single time I get feedback from a student, I build that feedback into the e-learning platform that exists at the minute, which is why it is so successful. Everybody will be having to start from scratch building these new courses and this new material. So there is going to be a little bit of a kind of a teething stage. So if you are in a position where you are thinking, Charlotte, do I park all of this till January next year and pick it up then? Or do I aim to get it done in the next 12 weeks? My single biggest piece of advice is get it done. Get it done in the next 6 months. 6 months is a huge amount of time to be able to do this. I appreciate that it is summer and the last thing that you want to do is to sit and drown yourself in a textbook. I'll come on to that in a little minute. But get it done now, because the support that is in place, regardless of which provider you use, is tried and tested at this particular moment in time. After these deadlines and after the changes, everybody is going to be playing catch up. So if you want your best possible chance of passing these exams first time and taking the next step in your career, whatever that looks like, let's get you over the line before that 12th of January deadline. So how do we do that? Step 1 is to get registered as soon as possible. You have to do that before the 29th of September. You do not have to sit the exams before that date. You have till the 12th of January to sit it, but just go into the LIBF portal, register for the exams. At the minute, they cost about £223 each. They have announced that is due to go up with the changes. It will probably only go up slightly, but I don't know what that figure will be. Get registered now and give yourself the next 6 months to get over the line. Once you've done that, the next step is to pick how you want to study. You have options. You absolutely can get through the textbook, and I will come on to how you can study with just the textbook in a second. But because we're working with a deadline here, I could not at this point recommend something like an e-learning platform more. There's a couple of advantages to it. The main one right now is the fact that it's summer. You don't want to be in a textbook. You want to be able to learn whilst you're sat in a beer garden. And trust me, nobody could hear you harder than me. So if you haven't seen the e-learning platform before, you can get access to 12 hours worth of material for free. It is very much a try before you buy. Make sure I am the right provider for you. I will link the free content in the show notes. All you need to do is click that link. There is a buy now button, ignore that one. There is also a free preview or free trial button. Go in there and make the most of that, even if you have no intention of buying, because I have included in the free bits loads of the really tricky topics. So there's free stuff on tax, there's free stuff on gilts, there's free stuff on pensions. There's loads of free material in there that even if you don't want to pay for anything, it will really level up your textbook studies on the most complicated areas. So go and check that out now. There's also a free WhatsApp community that you can join, and there's over 500 students in that WhatsApp community that are all also studying for their CeMAP, or they're halfway through their studies, or they've just qualified and they're wondering what's next. There's loads of opportunities to speak to people who are in the exact position that you're in. Or even better, they're a little bit further down the line and they can give you a little bit of guidance with that. That is free. You can access that on the website. I'll also log that in the show notes. As well as that, you can get your hands on exam style questions in the free bit of the e-learning platform. And that is kind of the next step. Once you've studied, however that is, then being able to apply that in an exam scenario is the next level of where you need to be before you are ready to sit the exam. If it is that you want to use something like the e-learning platform, you have the advantages of video files that you can watch on the go, audio files that you can listen to while you're on the commute, as well as the interactive exam papers. All you have to put in with the e-learning platform is 5 hours a week to be ready in 6 weeks. So if you started studying in July, you'll be ready to sit your CeMAP 1 exam 6 weeks from now. You need another 6 weeks for CeMAP 2 and 3. So again, that's 6 months. That's 6 months worth of time. Is it 6 months? Done the quick maths. Hang on. Yeah. You will have plenty of time to get through that material with a really comfortable buffer, just in case you need resits. And please don't forget, guys, with the e-learning platform, you also get access to me. So if you're struggling with something and you need help, you can send me a WhatsApp message and I will voice note you a response myself. I do all of that within 2 working days, and there's no limit on that. You can message me anytime you want, and I will look to come back to you within that 2 working day time frame with answers to your questions. So this isn't just a buy your access, get the download, and then forget about it forever. This is you also have access to a mentor if you need it, which is what makes that product a little bit different. Now, let's say you've turned around and you said, Charlotte, I don't want to take 12 weeks to get through all of my exams. I want to get that done sooner. You can do that. You can treat this e-learning platform like a fast track course. So I have a lot of students that buy this package and they take Monday to Friday off work. They study 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. They sit their exams on the Saturday or the Sunday and they have a really good chance of passing. That means technically you could get through this material in 2 weeks for CeMAP 1, 2, and 3, and then potentially be fully CeMAP qualified by that 3rd week. You don't just have to put 5 hours of a week in. You can put more in if you want. You can put less in, but that means you're going to have to wait a little bit longer before you're ready. Equally, everybody does study at a different pace, so I appreciate that figuring out how you do that, there's going to be a little bit of trial and error. I have included 6-week study plans in the e-learning platform in the free bit. So as soon as you've accessed it, you will see one of the first things that's in there is a 6-week study plan if you want to get through your exams in 6 weeks. So you can follow that structured plan. Now that's great if you want to get the e-learning platform. But what about if you don't want to go through something like an e-learning platform? Can you do it in 6 months with the textbook? Yes, you can. It's just going to be a little bit tougher. So I wanted to give you guys some really valuable advice of, okay, I'm going to study with the textbook and just the textbook. What do I need to do? The first thing I would recommend is block out study sessions. So you will have a textbook. You will have either a notepad or I would highly recommend flashcards just because you can go through these flashcards a bit quicker and they're a little bit more interactive. But block out time in your diary to do this and block out half-an-hour sessions only. You can absolutely put hour sessions in your diary thinking that you're going to be that productive, but generally speaking, anything after that half-an-hour mark, you tend to lose your kind of capacity to actually be able to retain the stuff that's in the textbook because it is really heavy going. So let's say you're going to work Monday to Friday, you're going to do half an hour every single day. This is how I'd want you to break it down. Open up your textbook, put an alarm on your phone for 15 minutes, do 15 minutes worth of reading, and every time you pick up something that you feel like it might be important or that it's completely new information to you, get a highlighter and highlight it. You're only going to do that for 15 minutes. Once you've done that and your timer goes off, stop, set another 15-minute timer and spend 15 minutes copying what you've highlighted over onto flashcards or in a notebook. There's a couple of reasons that you're going to do this. Number one, it means that you're reading the material at least twice, and that's going to help it stick. Number two, the process of actually physically writing it down, if you're a kinesthetic learner, that will also help it stick. So that's another really, really good way that you can study. It is going to take you a while to get through the whole textbook, but as long as you are diligent and you make sure that you keep your study sessions short and regular, there is absolutely no reason that you can't get through these exams before January. If getting through CeMAP 1, 2 and 3 with just the textbook feels overwhelming, no worries, just do CeMAP 1. Because CeMAP 1 is easier now than what it will be after that January deadline, and it is still going to be valid. So if you've already got CeMAP 1 in the bag, but you still need to get CeMAP 2 and 3, and you're not sure you'll get it over the line before the January deadline, your CeMAP 1 will still be valid. Walbrook Institute have not announced anything that says that you will need to do any form of resit or any extra qualification. If you already have CeMAP or any of the CeMAP exams, they are safe. So if you feel like you're not going to be able to get through all 3 exams in just 6 months, just focus on CeMAP 1. Register for the exam. That will trigger them to post the textbook out to you in the post. Get your hands on some flashcards. I'm going to link some flashcards from Amazon in the show notes. They're the ones that I'm currently using to study for FSRE while I build a new course, and that's working really, really well. And just book in half-an-hour slots in your diary. And you're only going to do 15 minutes of reading and highlighting and 15 minutes of copying that information over onto flashcards. If you want to see how this works in reality, I am currently on Instagram. I have a story series of me studying for the new CeMAP 1 exam using just it's not the textbook because I had to have it printed, but just the digital version of the textbook. And I'm showing people every single day how I study. I'm showing them what works and what doesn't work. For example, it helps me to get out of the house because if I'm in the house, I'm going to procrastinate. I'm going to do laundry. I'm going to cuddle the dog, I'm going to open up Instagram. It also helps for me to stick my phone on flight mode and put it on the other side of the room or in another room with those timers running, because I find it really, really difficult to focus. So if you are freaking out or if you are struggling right now, you are not on your own. Please remember that there is loads of support out there, whether it is that you want the free support of the 12 hours of the e-learning platform and the WhatsApp community, or whether you want to level up with something like an e-learning package. Now is the best time. If you leave it 8 weeks, you might end up feeling like you're pushed for time. But now, if you're listening to this in July, is absolutely the best time to just get this done. So if you're listening to this and you know deep down you want to be a mortgage advisor, this is your window. My e-learning platform is there to get you fully qualified, but I also have my Instagram page to show you guys how to self-study. So please make sure you make the most of that. I really hope that you found this podcast episode helpful. I know it's a little bit different not having Maria here, and I found it a little bit overwhelming as well, but I really want to start adding more content that is giving you guys loads more value. So make sure you hit the like button, give it a review if you found it helpful, drop me a message if you've listened to this and you've been like, oh, Charlotte, that did the trick. I would love to hear from you guys, and I will catch you for another podcast special really soon.